What's going on, Bird Gang? This is Darren Sproles here. I just want to thank y'all for tuning in to Eagles Brawl of the Brawl Network. Don't forget to subscribe to the show and leave a 5-star rating. Fly Eagles Fly.
This is a Brawl Network production. You're listening to the Eagles Brawl Podcast. E-A-G-L-E-S Eagles! Here to take you on the road to victory. It's Connor Miles, Ed Cross, Johnny Page, and Tyler Steege.
Ooh, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Eagles Brawl Pregame Live. We're pregaming early this morning because we got a ton of stuff to do today, and it's just early bird gets the worm, right, guys? You know, we got the viewers coming in right now, so it's a great time to start the pregame show. We're gonna have Nick joining us in a little bit whenever he decides to hop on, and then we also got Mike K, the NJ.com Eagles beat writer joining us towards the end of the show to discuss the latest Eagles news that we'll just start getting right into. So the first report, guys, I don't know if we're fresh up in the morning, we're fresh up out of beds, waking up, but Adam Schefter drops that bombshell report that Carson Wentz has no plans to be a backup. Looks like the situation's getting as murky as we thought it was going to. What up with the report from Adam Schefter? Did you guys read it yet?
Yeah, I'm a little confused why it's a story, if I'm being honest. It's like a starting quarterback wants to be a starter, and whether that be in Philly or somewhere else. I mean, this we've been talking about. I don't know why it decides to release on a Sunday before a game like it's some huge outbreaking story. I'm a little confused.
The timing of these Eagles reports, the John Dorsey report, the Carson Wentz report. I mean, dude, honestly, did you guys expect Carson Wentz to sit back and just be like, whatever?
Right.
I'll compete for this job. I mean, I get it. I get where the report's coming from, but I also think at the same time, like, hey, I know you had no plans of being a backup, but buddy, let's not pretend like you didn't play like a backup level caliber quarterback play this year.
And that's what I'm saying. I'm scared of that. I'm scared of that. This report is going because there were no quotes in it. There were no. Wentz said, told his team, or there's reports from Wentz's team that he's pissed or this and that. Like, of course, the starter wants to start, but like, there's gonna like this, like people are gonna start feeling this, and I don't agree with this. Like, why he didn't release any of this? So it doesn't make Carson soft because of this report. Like, let's be careful with that. I think this is just a story. This is a story.
Yeah, I mean, it's just another tick in the Carson Wentz saga. Gio, what'd you think, man? Like, what do you think about it?
I don't know. It almost seems like these reporters are bored and just writing stories because, of course, Carson Wentz wants to start. I mean, there's no doubt about it. He wants this to be his team, and it is. So I really don't understand that.
Yeah, I just think it's just another thing to add to the drama of, like your mom saying on the comments below. It's not surprising. I mean, he wants to be a starting quarterback in this league. I think he still can believe he could be the starting quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles.
It feels like the further we get into this season, the more we're just looking forward. I feel like every show the last 3 weeks we're not even pre-gaming this show. It's just Roseman.
I know we're talking. Yeah, you're right. We're talking about the drama going on with the Eagles. Yeah,
but it's because a lot of these reports are just on Sunday morning, and we end up having to react. And a lot of them like this, it just doesn't seem like it's a story worth. I mean, we all knew Wentz wants to start somewhere. There's no way in heck there was going to be a situation next year where even if Hurts balls out, Wentz was not going to sit in the back seat and say, let me just watch. There's no way. He's too prideful. He's getting paid too much. And then I don't think Roseman, knowing him, assuming he's here, would even keep that here. Like, he's like, okay, well, then leave. Like, let's get some type of compensation.
Yeah.
I just wish we were talking about a playoff run right now. Sucks. This season sucks, man.
Yeah, it does.
I think the consensus is we all want Wentz to go ball somewhere. Like, whether it be in Philly or somewhere else, like, I think a large part of the fan base would be happy to see it because he hasn't been treated right here. And I hate when people are calling him soft because we say that. Like, it's he just hasn't been treated like a franchise. A franchise quarterback should never constantly be looking over his shoulder. And since 2017, Carson Wentz has never not looked over his shoulder. There's never been a sense of comfort. There's never been a sense of security. And whether people have an issue with that or not, whether it be Aaron Rodgers, Pat Mahomes, they never had that. And if you're comparing Aaron Rodgers to Jordan Love, he's 35. It's a little different. So it's just I think what's best for Carson is to get it away from Philadelphia. It's just, to me, it's what's best for both sides, both parties.
I think we could pump the brakes on that stuff because I don't even know what this team's gonna look like this offseason. This team is far away from deciding like if Doug Peterson's gonna be the head coach. Now you have the Don Dorsey report coming out, and if he doesn't get a job, he's gonna get a full-time role with the Eagles. If he doesn't get a GM job with any team in another league, so a lot can change with this team starting this offseason. And I think, given Carson Wentz's contract, given the commitment this organization has to him, because I still don't think, look, what this team does at quarterback is the opposite of what everybody outside the building always thinks they're going to do. So I don't think that they care at all that Adam Schefter is dropping these reports. I don't think they care at all that we sit on Twitter and Facebook and social media and debate about, is Jalen Hurts going to be the quarterback next year? Is Carson Wentz going to be the quarterback next year? I don't think they care. They didn't care what we thought when they drafted Jalen Hurts in the second round. Why do you think they care now that this quarterback situation is what it is? But my thing is, we don't know what this team's going to be. You can get a new head coach. You get a new offense. You get a whole new you can take Howie's position away and make a new drafting guy. And then the drafting guy drafts around when. I don't know. But it's just too early to tell. I can look to the next season and if I have a new coach, and I might quarterback battle this thing. And I know Carson might not want to be a part of that, but if you want to be a Philadelphia Eagles starting quarterback, if you want to prove this to everybody in the league, you could be a starting quarterback, battle for the job then. Win the job.
You're hitting it right there. And I just don't know if Carson's going to want to do that. Like, I don't know if Carson wants to even do that. Like, because here's the thing. If they say, hey, Carson, the new coach comes in and commits to Carson, what if Carson, every time Carson has a bad throw, the backup quarterback is going to be brought up here? It's just the way it's going to be for the next 3 to 5 years. Unless Carson plays at an immediate MVP level, the MO around him is going to be, well, the backup's probably better. It's always going to surround Carson here. And from a mental standpoint, I just don't think that he wants that. He's got to be tired of it. Like, from a human perspective, he's got to be emotionally drained from it. Like, this media is like so overwhelming. I would love for Carson to return to top level here in Philly. I don't see it happening. And you guys know I'm very patient with stuff like that. I don't like just saying like move on, but it just doesn't. It seems like we're going down that alley of it. It seems like this is kind of, and it doesn't even have to do with Hurts. It just has to do with Wentz's play. Wentz has definitely played a part into this. He's played some really bad football this year, and I don't want it to come off like we're sheltering him. He definitely played a part in this hand. I've never seen Carson struggle this bad.
Yeah, I love Carson Wentz as much as not as much as Giovanni does. Giovanni loves him more than anyone in the world, but I'm a huge fan of his game. Was a huge believer of him coming out of North Dakota State. Was all on the Carson Wentz train immediately from the jump. But I did not expect this season to happen. I did not expect him to play this bad. Now, there's a lot of context that goes in there. I know you know that as well. But the truth of the matter is, we sat there and we really thought we were driven to the fact that Carson Wentz was a top 5 caliber quarterback, top 8 at the least.
Man, before the season, I mentioned him with Pat Mahomes, guys. Like, I'll take it on the chin, too. I had my takes, too.
That's what I'm saying. Maybe here's what the issue might be with where we had to sit with Carson Wentz right now. I know some people may disagree with it, but maybe we crowned him too early. Maybe he is a good quarterback, but things need to start going right around him. Because I know 2019 he elevated this team to levels that I've never seen from the quarterback position before. Because to play with such minimal wide receiver talent and to throw for 4,000 yards, unheard of. It really is unheard of. We need to take that into account more. What he did last season, but I just don't think in this offense with Doug Peterson, there's anything that is creative. There's anything that's surprising. Like, I think this system is what the huge factor is into it. And I know my dogs are getting mad about it now too, but I just don't think if you look, if you sit back and you look at Jeffrey Lurie or Howie Roseman and you look at this, so I think Howie Roseman stays for everybody who doesn't. I think he does. You look at this commitment you have to Carson Wentz. You have to really decide: are you going to build around Carson Wentz? Are you going to fix Carson Wentz this offseason? If you decide to do so, Doug can't be that answer. I'm sorry, I don't think he can be that answer. I think if you want to buy Carson back, his faith in you back, you got to show him, hey, the coach that wasn't willing to ride out the struggles with you is gone. We got a new system in here that's a little more friendly to your skill set. And then maybe, hey, we get that quarterback coach back because Chicago looks like they're going to clean house. We get John DeFilippo back, and we fix what's broken with you with a guy who elevated your game to new heights before. That's the only way I think you really just narrow it down and fix Carson Wentz. But if not, then roll Jalen Hurts because you have potential in Jalen Hurts. You do. As much as we all sit there and think like we're all the emotional attachment to Carson Wentz, Jalen Hurts is a good football player. That's what can't be lost in this. Jalen Hurts is a very good football player. He took two big college programs to national championships. Like this guy knows what he's doing.
And go ahead, Gio.
I think that both quarterbacks have talent. I just think that I don't see an outcome where next year Carson is a backup and Jalen Hurts is the starter.
Yeah,
I still think it's up there.
It's no matter what, it just seems like it's going to get messy. It's going to get messy, but and I heard somebody, I think it was Dakota. Somebody mentioned like I'm tired of seeing. I don't remember who said it, but somebody said I'm tired of seeing Carson Wentz's name every day. As much as I agree, you got to understand that we did crown this guy as a top 10, top 15 quarterback. He was considered our franchise quarterback. It's a big deal. Like, this is a big deal. Like, whatever's happening around Carson, whether, this is franchise changing. Like, whatever happens with the Eagles, if Carson leaves and starts balling out somewhere and wins 2 Super Bowls, or if the Eagles decide to keep him and then they win 2 Super Bowls, like, it's very monumental. Like, what is about to happen for this Eagles franchise. Like, this offseason is crucial. And so there's a lot of pressure on Roseman. There's a lot of pressure on Larry. And there's going to be potentially a lot of changes. Somebody said, well, I think that this offseason is going to like disappoint people. I don't know what that means. I think that there's going to be a lot of moves, and
there's going to be a lot to talk about no matter what. As podcasters, I don't think this offseason is going to be disappointing.
I don't think so either. I'm expecting
it's going to be insane. This might be the most insane, and I mean, we were part of the Dream Team off seasons. We're part of the Chip Kelly off season. This is going to be the most insane Eagles off season in history, I think. I absolutely think so. It's not even just because of bringing people in. They're going to have to figure this out. They're going to either have to fire their Super Bowl winning head coach, or they're going to have to get rid of their franchise quarterback that they drafted with the number 2 pick in the draft.
Like, I pray to the universe that Hurts is not attached to Doug Peterson. Like, if Hurts plays well, I hope that we could see through the Peterson struggles the last 3 years, because
I mean, you said it yourself, and I think this is a point that you have to drive this home with Jeffrey Lurie, especially now too. How are you going to let Doug Peterson develop your young quarterback if he just destroyed one right in front of your eye? I mean, if one regressed at an MVP caliber level right in front of your eyes, that's not. I mean, I know we want to blame Carson Wentz too, but everybody has a hand in the pot of what's wrong with the Eagles' offense this year, and Doug Peterson's really stirring that pot. I mean, he's the hottest one on the hot seat from this pot. So
if Josh Allen 2 years from now regresses and he has that same coach, that coach will probably be fired. That's just the way it goes. You don't move on from franchise quarterbacks, you move on from coaches first.
Oh, great point, especially with the financial commitment tied to him. That is a good point there. I wish I could really just sit down and just talk to Howie Roseman, talk to Jeffrey Lurie, and just get like the honest sense of what they feel about Carson Wentz right now. I would love to just, I love to be like, how do we feel about Carson Wentz, especially after the Saints game when we watched Jalen Hurts be
the
number 1 ranked seed?
Yes, like
yes, that is yes, absolutely.
Just because first downs are being picked up does not mean it is like a scheme. like Jalen Hurts was hiding a lot, and I think, and when we talked about it, that was the biggest difference where I didn't realize Carson Wentz's mobility was so restricted. Was when Hurts got in there, man. That man was scooting.
Yeah.
So I completely agree with this comment too, because I think if anything, let's Hurts' legs rejuvenate a lost run game for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yep.
This is not going to fix this passing game. This passing game is completely broken. It's been broken since last year, to be quite honest with you. Carson Wentz just elevated it with his play. But my thing is, and I've said it like for probably the last couple of months on the pod now, I don't trust Doug Peterson to develop wide receivers either. I don't think he gets to keep receivers well. Outside of 12 personnel, I don't think this guy can call an offense. And this team looks like they want to move on from the 12 personnel. They want to go all in on Dallas Goedert next year and just ride 11 personnel, according to Ed Cross, who's been on the podcast and our Eagles Brawl Insider. He says this team wants to go 11 personnel on offense. They don't want to do 12 personnel anymore. Well, Doug Pearson has not shown me anything about 12 personnel that I can trust. I mean, out of 11 personnel I can trust. I mean, like Johnny says it a million times, there's too many bad cooks in the kitchen. I get it with Rich Cangarello and Money Morningwig and Press Taylor and all that stuff. But, I mean, nothing that they've done in 11 personnel this season has shown me that they can do it moving further. And they can't even scheme well for the receivers. So, this passing game is broken.
And it seems like it is dictated by the run. If the run gets going, they can move the ball. If they can't, Doug struggles. And that was with Carson. That dates back to 2017. I mean, 2017, Carson Wentz had a great year, but the running game is what kind of put the Eagles, I mean, every game it was Blunt and Ajayi. I mean, they dominated. And then even Jordan Howard last year and Miles Sanders, that's what kind of like propelled the offense against the Bills, against the Bears. Like, the Eagles need a run game. And Jalen Hurts definitely opened up the run game with his legs, and Sanders had the best game of the season.
Yeah, and this is an Arizona defense. I definitely take advantage of the run for it. So, Giovanni, since you're going to be the Eagles head coach someday, say you got the job tomorrow, how would you admit the season's over, you're going into the off season, you have the quarterback situation on your hands, you have the offense that needs to be fixed. How would you fix it in your vision?
I would use a run more. Doug is not taking his talent at running back and using it. And I would probably say do the quarterback like make them fight for their jobs. And see who can become the starter. And yeah, I think it would help that Doug's out and I'm in.
As long as I see you call screen passes to Jalen Reagor and Greg Ward, you're good in my book. You're good in my book. I'll take you there, bud.
Yes.
I mean, I don't. We said it this week on Philly Sports with Giovanni. I don't understand what the lack of running game is. I don't understand the lack of usage of Miles Sanders. Like, I saw somebody compare his stats to Josh Jacobs the other day, and they're so close in rushing yards, but the distance between themselves and rushing attempts is insane.
It's wild.
Absolutely
Like,
asinine.
Miles Sanders has kind of turned into just a home run guy. Like, has he got over 20 touches this year? I think 18 is his highest.
No way.
Yeah, 18 or 16. Like, it's just crazy. You take a guy in the second round. Like, I know he's not a first round pick, but you take him in the second round, you commit to him, and the whole thing around Miles Sanders is weird.
When you have a rookie, when you have a young running back on a rookie contract, like, you run him into the ground.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
You use that as well as you can, because
you don't want to
more than likely than not, you don't want to pay. Yeah, and you don't want to pay him after that contract's up, more than likely than not. Like, that makes no sense to me at all. It's a fireable offense, like I said multiple times. Like, Miles Sanders is your best skill player on offense. He is. Use him. And look what happens when you use him. Both your quarterback and your running back ran for over 100 yards, and you crushed the number 1 seed Saints. Then I see, like, use them. You guys think that the way the Eagles play on offense, with I know that everybody thinks like the running system like this with Jalen Hurts is sustainable, but with 3 games left of the season: Arizona, Dallas, and Washington to close it out and potentially head into the playoffs. Do you think they could use that offense and win those games though? Because I kind of think they can.
I mean, if they beat Arizona today, I'm just more so excited to see. There's going to be pressure on Peterson to have some deep shots to keep up with the high scoring game. Because I mean, with the Eagles secondary today, it looks like Arizona and Kyler Murray are going to go off. So it's not like they're going against the Saints where they can just play this ball control and slow methodical drives. Like, I mean, they may have that same game plan, but you're going to have to put up points against the Cardinals. So I think we're going to see more pressure in a sense from Hurts where, yeah, you got to put up points, man.
You know, I'm not happy Darius Slay's out, but the part of me that is happy is that I know he's been killed for his games against DK Metcalf and Devontae Adams, but wait until you see how much his presence meant to the Eagles this year when he's on the field today. Wait until you see that, because those 2 games were nothing to what he's done all season long for this team.
And we knew going into those matchups. We knew going into the matchups. And, like, yes, on paper, like, he got, I think, like, they'll show the stats, like, Metcalf had, like, 9 catches or whatever, and then Adams had, like, 8 catches. But understand the Eagles' defense as a whole played so much better. Like, they don't just get to pick and choose, you know, I'm going to pick on Mills, I'm going to pick here, I'm going to pick here. Like, when Slay was there, he still won a lot of single matchups, and it did
absolutely
help the Eagles defense, and even against the Saints too with Michael Thomas. Like, yes, this on paper it looked bad, but he was game changing for this Eagles defense. And like you said, we'll see today what the defense looks like without him. It's gonna be ugly.
Like we said, I mean, we're Eagles fans. We're not used to good cornerback play. Like, he's been a godsend to us compared to what we've had. I mean, Giovanni said himself, this is the best quarterback play he's seen all year, his life. As an Eagles fan, like, the guy is holding us down his own. Like, those games are against. I mean, DK Metcalf being crowned, and rightfully so, as an elite wide receiver. Devontae Adams is an elite wide receiver. He's top 5 in my book. Like, it makes complete sense.
And I love the fact that Darius Slay came out after the games and was just like, "Yo, I need to be better."
Accountability, accountability.
I just need to be
right
better.
away.
And of course, media poked at him still.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that was.
You said this is the you didn't play well. How does that make you feel? What? Gosh, I just don't. Man.
I think this is huge because the Arizona's interior is probably their weakest part of their offensive line, and Javon Hargrave has the lights are on. The lights are on in that guy's head. He's getting it now. He's playing with one of the best. Not only is he playing incredibly well in the Eagles, but he's playing like one of the best defensive tackles in the National Football League since Week 10. That's
Dude, you and I were pumped about that signing, and I started to get really nervous about it, like, because it was a 3-year deal, and he's 27. So if he's not playing well this year, then you're like, well, shoot, can he even start next year? But this late season surge has been huge. He's been balling, which is huge for next year because he's only 27, I think. So he could be part of the future.
I mean, he's really Fletcher Cox's replacement.
Yeah,
honest with you. I mean, he's going to take over for Cox at some point during that contract. But, I mean, the context of the situation, obviously, with his signing. But, I mean, the real signing that I've been bummed about that hasn't worked out at all, that I got completely destroyed for. I should be destroyed for is the Robbie Coleman, man. My God, I thought that guy was going to be so great for this team.
And I don't know if like the PFF stats or like if we could look at like Football Outsiders or what, but like, does he struggle in man because this scheme plays so much man? Like, did he thrive in zone? Was that the thing?
I'll have to get back. Yeah, I'll have to get back to you on that one because I'm not going to be able to pull that up right now, or maybe I will be able to while we're.
That's just the way it was because it's. I mean, I was excited about it too, and I mean, from week 1, he's been getting torched. Week in and week
I would not be surprised if the next team he goes to next offseason he's good at or he's good on that.
Yeah.
Because I mean, City Jones, Russell Douglas already taught us before they might be George's coverage scheme, and not be them, but I don't know, man.
Sewell Douglas was playing last night.
Look at this. Dakota's hilarious. Get me started this one. I mean, we gotta love this one. Slot fraud. Yeah, I that's what I'm saying, Matt. I agree. I would not be surprised if he goes to his next team next year and actually plays back to his level of capability that we expected. Ooh, ooh. Dakota already came in with his Manscaped MVP pick. He's picking Josh Sweat. Ooh, interesting.
That D line has to eat today. Kyler's going to be cooking.
Yeah, my Manscaped MVP is on the D line. To be honest with you, I need I need him to step up. I need him to step up this week big time. But before we get into that, at the end of the show, we'll have Mike K joining us to discuss the latest Eagles news. Let's talk right now about our matchups. What's our favorite matchups? Like, what are we looking forward to? I'm looking forward to seeing Dallas Goddard versus these linebackers. Jordan Hicks' revenge game. I'm excited. I want to see what happens there. I want to see if the Eagles. I mean, look, all season long, it seems like the Eagles are forcing Dallas Goddard to be the tight end one. I'm ready for a big performance by him, especially with Zach back out there getting the attention that he's going to require. I'm ready for Dallas to step up today and be big for this Eagles passing game. What matchups are you guys looking forward to the most?
Go ahead, Gio.
Yeah, I was actually gonna say the Dallas Goddard Jordan Hicks matchup. That will be nice to see.
I'm excited. I mean, it's a boring answer, but I'm excited to see Hurts just against the defense. I just want to see him again. I want to see. The big question this week is, is it sustainable? Can he do this? There's going to be another week of film. 3rd and 11. I think there was like a cut up of the Saints playing like a cover 2, and he was able to just run like on a 3rd and 11. And it's just, let's see what the adjustments are and see how he plays, because I think a lot of these questions that we have will be answered just by the end of the 3 weeks here.
True. Matt Pryor's back in right tackle for Jack Driscoll, who's out for the season now. Yeah, I'm not excited for that at all. Hassan Reddick had 5 sacks last week.
O-line held up really well last week. We'll see how they do this week. That's huge.
Matt Pryor is the weakest link, though. That's for sure. He's
Yeah.
not been the weakest link in this offensive line this season. But I think Miles Sanders has a game. I think they, again, just stick to what. It's funny because Giovanni said this on Philly Sports with Giovanni, and I want him to elaborate on this a little bit more as I say it. But Doug coaches the backup, I mean, which most coaches would, but it's just funny to see the difference between coaching between Carson Wentz and Jalen Hurts. And a lot of people are out there screaming, like, where was this for Carson Wentz? Where was this play calling for Carson Wentz? But you have to call a different type of game when you have 2 different type of quarterbacks in. So, Gio, with going up against Arizona's defense today, and I know a lot of people say, well, there's another week of film on Jalen Hurts, but I mean, the best thing about this is, and we're worried about Doug Pearson's adjustments, but what you said it yourself, Doug is different with the back court with the Jalen Hurts in. What do you think? How do you think you could tackle Arizona's defense today?
I think you really gotta pound that run game. Even if it's running with Jalen. I think you use Miles Sanders. I think that Jalen Hurts and Miles Sanders hopefully go over 100 rushing yards again. Yeah, I think you need to use that and some screen passes, and you'll be set.
You know who else should have a big day is Alex Singleton.
Yep.
He played super well against the Seahawks and Russell Wilson, who has a very similar style to Kyler. So they may use him on some spies, but he played a huge part of that game, and they played a really good defensive game. So that's another guy that I'll be watching today.
That's a good pick. That is a good pick. I like that. And Giovanni did his talk to that bull. You did your anti-bullying speech in North Dakota High School with Alex Singleton. Oh, dude, that was incredible, man.
Yeah.
Great job on that, of course. How was that?
It's pretty cool to talk to the kids about bullying, because like the principal asked me before he asked Alex Singleton.
That is awesome.
It's pretty cool.
I mean, you were tackling bullying with linebacker 1, though. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
That had to feel like you had to feel some kind of self-righteousness in that. Like, yeah, no big deal. Me and linebacker 1 go way back.
Yeah, and he had his positive vibes only shirt on. It was awesome.
Ooh, I love it. I love it. You know who I'm excited to see get a little bit more playing time though that we haven't mentioned yet? Javon Wallace. Let's see what we have in
Yes.
the kid. I
Yes.
mean,
Agreed.
the safety, Jalen Mills is on a 1 year deal. Who knows if he's back next year? If there's a new defensive coordinator, it might be somebody different. Rodney McLeod, again, second ACL injury. I don't think Javon Wallace can play the single high safety or anything like that. But I mean, look, with the loss of McLeod, it's going to be a huge and tough loss. But Wallace can play nickel. Wallace can play in the box. Wallace was one of the best tacklers in college football last year. I'm excited to see Kevin Wallace get more playing time and see what they have in him now because we haven't been able to really see that lately.
You know what I like truly just love about this fan base? Like, as much as I just get irritated, I love the fact that we can go 6 days in the week after being heartbroken or whatever and just being pissed or hearing stories or whatever. And then on game day, we just start talking about the game plan and just they could be 0-15 and we're just like, how are we going to win? You know, we got to control the clock. We got to get to the run game. It's just crazy. This fan base is different, dude. I love it. I love everything about it.
Yeah, we got some great comments going on too. So there's some really good
We appreciate
good
that. Like,
interaction from the fan base. Yeah, I always appreciate
nobody
that stuff.
expected this season to go this way, and for the fact that so many people are interacting is pretty dang cool.
No, and I mean, like for us personally, where we started this podcast, like the worst season that started in, like where nobody even wants to talk about the Eagles or listen about the Eagles right now because they stink sometimes. Like we've had some really great support. We've had some really great feedback, and not only that, I mean, Giovanni's show, Philly Sports with Giovanni's been like delivering the hottest content out there. Shout out to the Kelly Green Show by Football Kelly. She's bringing some really hot content to the Eagles Brawl Network. Ed Cross, the Eagles Brawl Insider, has joined us multiple times. Joins us once a week at least. I mean, we try to deliver good content, so we appreciate the support and everything. But I mean, I'll tell you right now, before I started a podcast, when the Eagles stunk, I wasn't really listening to podcasts about them. I wasn't really. I mean, I would learn about the team and obviously do everything I need to do to write about them or get knowledgeable about them. But I mean, they weren't the first things on my mind like they are now doing this podcast. So I definitely appreciate everybody still tuning in, still staying with us here during these really tough times. But I guarantee you we're going to have an exciting offseason. That's for sure. I mean, if Giovanni got the first quote from Carson Wentz from his pension, I wonder what he can do next. Right?
Oh my gosh.
What?
Nothing. Josina just is at it again. Go ahead.
What did Josina Anderson say now?
Dude, she
Is she
said,
piggybacking the Wentz report?
yeah, she said it'd be wiser to remain a good sport rather than leak stories for him to appear selfish hours before the game. As if he leaked the story. I can't stand that human being, man.
Wait. What
So
did
the whole
Alshon
tweet-
do then?
the-
Wait.
the-
What did
Right.
Alshon do to you then, Josina? Like, wait, what?
I don't get it, dude. I don't know what it. That is the weirdest thing with this whole thing. Like, there's this huge divide, and Mike K, when he comes on, we're going to talk about it because, the weirdest thing about the Wentz debacle.
I don't understand what she has again. He must have really pulled up on her singing some country song that she really hated or something. I don't understand.
This is
Or he
why.
shot-
This is why there's so many Wentz defenders. Is because
Josina
there's this-
Anderson is really mad at Carson Wentz because he shot Bambi. I don't know. Like what? I don't know what she has against that. She literally just contradicted herself on her platform because Alshon Jeffrey literally was doing that to her.
It'd be wiser to remain a good sport rather than have stories leak. Oh my
It
gosh.
would be wiser to be a good sport when you're injured all the time as a wide receiver getting paid by this team rather than having stories leak about your general manager and starting quarterback to Josina Anderson. I just don't get it, man.
Yeah.
I do not understand that at all.
I just don't understand why there's so much like it sounds like a fan, but I don't understand why there's been this target on this guy's back. Like it's not an extreme thing to say that like why are these reports around Carson? Is it because he's a top 2 pick? Like it's not like he came from this huge school. It's not like he's this polarizing player. I just don't understand why there's this like infatuation with trying to bring Carson Wentz down. Is it his faith? I don't know. I don't have an answer. But it's so. This is why there's
I'm
so
not
many.
gonna lie. I kind of was pointing the finger at that because I mean, like people hated Tim Tebow. I just said he wasn't a good football player. I didn't hate him. There's nothing personal against him, but people were fully against Tim Tebow for that reason. So I don't know. I really don't get it. I don't know what the guy did to everybody. Maybe Eagles fans like really made people feel some type of way, but the way that we were about Carson Wentz, how much we rode for Carson Wentz. But I mean, Alshon must have told her something that rubbed her the wrong way.
And it was because the man wasn't getting the ball. Like that's really it. Like Zach Ertz was the number one target. So you went to Josina Anderson like for a story, and then since then it's just it wasn't since then though, because when Wentz was drafted, there's been this whole. It's weird. Here we go. Let's talk about this, man.
Boys.
NJ.com's Mike K is joining the show. Mike, thanks for joining us, man.
Thanks for having me. I got a nice little surprise. I didn't see that Giovanni was going to be on here. How you doing, bro?
I'm good. How are you?
Feeling pretty handsome today. I don't know. I just think I like what's going on there. And, you know,
what you got going on?
You know, it's been a slow morning, clearly.
Right.
So, yeah, we'll just start it off. What do you think about the Carson Wentz report?
Well, my job is to understand why stuff like this leaks. I'm getting a lot of blowback from a lot of people because I'm somewhat implying that wanting to be traded if you're not willing to be a backup means you don't want to face a competition. And frankly, that's accurate. Like, you're not going into a competition with goodwill. If you were letting something like this leak, if this is truly your feelings that you don't want to be a backup, for better or worse, no matter who leaked this, the thought process is that Wentz doesn't want to be a backup. So are you going to take if you lose the competition, are you going to take that line down? That creates a completely different issue for this franchise that they certainly don't need. You know, I'm nowhere near the competitor that Carson Wentz is. I'm not going to say, but being paid $34 million and being a backup is one thing compared to being benched in front of the entire country in the biggest game of your life and then never being able to win back your job. If they do have a competition, I think Carson wins that competition outright. I think Carson Wentz is easily the more skilled player. He's the guy that they've invested in. I don't really understand why this leaked. I was really surprised to see this leak this morning, to be honest with you.
Yeah. It always seems like the game day Sundays is when stuff comes out. Like Jeffrey Lurie gives the okay to bench Carson. Now this report comes out, and I mean, it's crazy for sure. I know Tyler has some thoughts on it.
I just don't really know. I don't get why, because I agree. Why did it come out? Like who did exactly release it? Was it Wentz's team? If it was Wentz's team or from Wentz's side, then it's a little weird to me. Then I actually care a little bit more about the story. But then the next question is, then who would it be if it wasn't from Wentz's team?
Well, I mean, that's the thing, right? I'm not going to accuse anybody of anything, but I think you have to understand why this is coming out. This is coming out right before Jalen Hurts is going to make his first start. And there's got to be some sort of strategy there, right?
I think there's clear. So what sparked Mike coming on is we were exchanging DMs on like in the middle of the week, and we were just talking about the whole Wentz thing. And I guess just I stated that there's no way that Carson is comfortable here. There's no way. If Hurts plays bad and Wentz is given the starting job next year, there's still no way that he's sitting easy. There's no way he's comfortable. He's still looking over his shoulder. And so I said, I think what's best is for Carson to get the heck out of Philly. And obviously it depends and it's dictated on who's brought in as coach, but it just seems as if Carson is kind of setting it up to where he's like, yo, I'm super tired of this. I'm tired of having to explain myself. I'm tired of having to, and obviously his play played into him explaining himself every week this year. But the previous years, like even after 2019, after 2017, there were questions whether or not he was a system quarterback. So like there's just always been this question. I just think he needs to get the hell away. I don't think that there's anything better for Carson than to get the hell away from Philly.
And maybe that might be the case. Look, I think he's a guy who's been through a lot and persevered through a lot. I mean, I think that's unquestioned. I mean, look, but everybody's human. Everybody has their limits. Everybody has their price, so to speak. And I think, look, it's mentally taxing playing in Philly. There's no question about it. This is a tough fan base. Trust me, if this was any other market, Howie Roseman would not be criticized the way he is. Doug Peterson would not have the critics that he has. It's just not the case. Neither one of these guys would be potentially fired after 3 years after winning a Super Bowl. It's just not a thing. But this city demands a lot of continued success. And if you look at what they've put together over the last 5 years, Doug and Howie have had a lot of success. Whether they've plateaued since then is completely fair to bring up. But, Carson has gotten some really bad breaks. It's just, that is what it is.
Super random. Do you think Wentz would have been benched quicker if there were fans this year in the stadium?
Probably.
I was thinking about that. I was like, it took so long. I wonder if he would have been benched against like Dallas or something when he had that game before the bye.
And look, I think a lot of people are getting into like character assassinations of Carson. I think Carson's been put through a ton. And it's not easy. Look, we're on a chat with like the strongest dude we know, Giovanni. This is a situation where you have to be mentally sharp and you have to be, mentally tough. And sometimes you have bad days, and maybe this is a situation where he was having a bad day and it was, put out there. I just kind of think it's just weird time. It's really weird timing. Just in my profession, it's just very weird timing, right? So, look, I think Carson's unquestionably talented. I think that he is redeemable. I've said that on this podcast. I've said it on 60 other podcasts. I've said it on Twitter. I've written it in print. I think he's redeemable. I still think he's talented. And I think he can be a good quarterback in this league. Do I think he's ever going to be considered among the top 8 again? No. But I do think that you can win with him. And I'm really looking forward to a competition if there is a competition this off season, because I think that brings out the best in a competitor, and that's what Carson Wentz labels himself. And I think he would win that competition. But when you look at the way this thing is going, it's the mess that this organization's made, and I don't know if this is going the way they thought it would.
You just made a good point, because I want to hit on that too. If Jalen Hurts ends up being a really good player, nobody expected this regression from Carson Wentz this bad. I don't care if you didn't think he was very good. Nobody expected this type of regression. So when Jalen Hurts was picked, let's just rewind to April. The confusion was, you have Carson Wentz. Why are you doing that? There was a bunch of confusion within the fan base. But then as soon as he started to struggle, people were like, well, you took somebody in round 2. Why aren't you playing it? Okay. If Jalen Hurts, the whole objective of the NFL draft is to acquire talent and value. If Jalen Hurts is a starting NFL quarterback, taking him in round 2 was a good pick.
Yes.
Just simple as that. There is no more, no less. Take Carson Wentz out of the picture. A GM's job is to land talent, and there's no better talent than quarterback, right? No more value. So if he's a good starting quarterback, doesn't matter if Carson, you can't, this whole I feel bad for Carson. I don't feel bad for Carson for them taking a quarterback in round 2. I don't care about his feelings. It's your job. You're in the most competitive sport in the league. And if you start to struggle, you're going to get benched. But stop with the, this. It's not a mess because they took Hurts in round 2. It's a mess because Wentz played really bad for them to think about taking Hurts. Right. And that is the thing. But I don't feel sorry for Carson Wentz because they drafted a quarterback. If that's a starting quarterback, by all means, take him in round 2.
Well, and that coming from you, sorry, Connor, just let me get this point in. Coming from you, who, we've known each other for a really long time, you were somebody who always empathizes with the player. So for you to say that, like, there's logic there. You empathize with the player. You're constantly empathizing. You empathize with Alshon Jeffrey. You empathized with
Aguilar.
But no, and that's your prerogative. But like, for you to say that, I want listeners to know, like, that's sound. That's logically sound. There's no way around it. So Connor, what do you got?
Giovanni, what do you got? Let's go, man. Let's hear. I know you got questions, Giovanni.
Come on, big dog.
I don't know. I didn't have very much questions.
Ask me about something other than Carson. How about that? Let's talk about
Okay.
something other.
What's it like being an Eagles beat writer?
Terrific. Wonderful. It's very hard this year because basically all of our conversations are like this. But it's cool, man. It's an experience for sure. You meet a lot of cool people. You meet a lot of people that don't really have a lot to say, and you're covering a football team. There are worse occupations in life. So look, I enjoy it. I like writing. I like telling people stories. I got into this career to tell people stories and not make myself a story. And it's been fun. There's a lot of rewarding qualities of being a journalist and a sports journalist, and I'm very grateful.
So I know, Giovanni, a question you have that you're just forgetting right now, but I know that you'll be like, oh, I remember now. So the jersey you're wearing right now, can you show Mike what jersey you're wearing?
Yeah, this is good.
Is that a Fulgham jersey?
That is a Fulgham jersey. All right. So Giovanni, you kept asking me all week long when we were playing Xbox, all this stuff, why do you think that they're shying away from Travis Fulgham? So I think the best person to ask and give you the best answer is in this chat right now, Mike K. So why do you think what's up, man? Like, why do they Travis Fulgham starts off so hot? Did we just crown him too early too? Is that what it is, or like what is the backstory behind this?
Yeah, I'll take credit for crowning him too early. I think he's struggling against press. I think that's a big issue. And when you're playing that X receiver spot, you've got to be able to get off press. I think there have been some issues with route running to where they just, as you hear my kid screaming in the background, I think there's been some issues with route running. I think it's a really kind of weird situation because I'd play him anyway because the best way to play, get better is to play through those struggles. But look, I mean, I guess they just trust Alshon out there. I mean, Alshon was blocking really, really well. And when you have a guy who runs the way that he Jalen runs, maybe that's the thought process. They seem to really love Greg Ward in the slot. That's where I'd put Fulgham if he's struggling with press, but there you go. And look, they want that Z spot for Rager. So it's just tough to get him on the field. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just trying to make logic of it. I would have him out there.
Never ideal when you bring up blocking as why a guy is on the field.
Right.
The receiver position.
That's what Chip and Doug have in common. They make that X receiver a blocker, apparently. It doesn't seem like they really game plan for the X spot at all. It's like very, very weird. Like they plan for the tight ends, they plan for Rager, they plan for.
Do you think Roseman has any touching on the game day personnel?
Well, I mean, he does in the sense that he's got final say on the 53-man roster, but I don't think he's calling in like, hey, Aaron Moorhead, put in, Travis Fulgham. Because if he did, wouldn't you think everybody knows the mistake that Jeffrey's contract is. Wouldn't you think he'd want to salvage J.J. Arcega-Whiteside? Wouldn't he want to salvage Quez Watkins? Wouldn't he want to make sure he put John Hightower in position to look like, hey, he hit on a pick? Like, that's what frustrates me is, like, I see people imply that Howie's got all this say and like, Doug's just there, you know what I mean? But the fact of the matter is, most of his draft class isn't playing. And that's like, when you're a GM, like, that's not really a good look. It's illogical to me, actually. Like, I don't, you're paying a sunk cost for for 3 young players who could potentially do things. You know what I mean? Jason Huntley, who they went out of their way to take off the waiver wire, which could have looked like a great pick, they don't play. So I think this is a coaching staff day-to-day thing. You're also looking at rotations. Rotations are done by the coaching staff. You can't be like, they don't have a sheet that says Howie said that Josh Sweat needs to play 35% of the snaps. That's not a thing. Like that, it's just not a thing.
Well, I mean, and the reason I ask is because there is a part of the fan base who truly thinks that truly thinks that Roseman is touching, like he is affecting the actual who is active on game day, who's not. And I think the same thing. Like, why would he not want his second round pick from last year to be on the field? Like, why would he be inactive?
Here's what I'll say about that is GMs do have conversations during the week with their head coaches and say, hey, look, I think this should happen. If that's his say on the roster, that's maybe why stuff like that leaks. But, like, that's not uncommon. I've spoken to several former GMs and current executives. There are people that have input. Like, it doesn't mean – like, it could be like, well, you know, I think that we should have Quez up over John Hightower because I think he presents a bigger slot presence. Like, if stuff like that happens, that's conversion. But, like, ultimately Doug's deciding on, you know, the game plan. It's like I saw a report out a couple of months ago that was like Howie doesn't tell Doug when like who the inactives are going to be until like the weekend, which makes absolutely no sense because why would a GM set up his head coach to fail when he's trying to win?
That was a crappy leak. Let's just say that.
But that's what I'm saying is like sometimes just take a step back when you read certain things. Like that's why the Wentz leak is so interesting to me because Doug that but the fact that somebody close to him, I would assume, is putting out that he'd want something. Like it doesn't serve the Eagles any good to let people know that Carson doesn't want to be there. That's not. You're actually killing your leverage even more because not only is he wanting out, he's making $34 million, and then by the start of the year, after 3 days, the league year, he's guaranteed another $15 million. All you're doing is forcing yourself to rush into this trade, and you have no leverage. So I don't really understand. There are people out there that think that like the Eagles leaked this, and I just don't. I've tried to wrap my head around it, and I just don't see how that makes any sense and why they would leak that right now before their backup quarterback could have a disastrous game. I like that doesn't make sense to me. I don't really follow the logic there.
No, it makes no sense at all. I mean, it would ruin your trade leverage with him as well, too, because then you have to give him up and you have to eat money with this. Obviously, this contract situation he has to deal with. But, Mike, do you think that they could beat the Cardinals today? Because I think they could beat the Cardinals today.
Yeah, I do. Did you see Jalen Hurts' haircut? I mean,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there you go. That's exactly my reason why.
Look, I think it could happen. The only real like issue I have is the secondary. I think the secondary is set up for massive failure. The thing is you know, I've seen a lot of people say that Jalen Hurts needs to be more of a passer than a runner moving forward. And I don't know if I buy that narrative, especially against Kyler Murray and a team that has the weapons that they do. If I'm Doug, my game plan is 60% running the football. I am keeping Kyler Murray off the field. I'm keeping DeAndre Hopkins off the field. I'm keeping Christian Kirk off the field. I'm not afraid. Here's the thing. Kyler Murray has struggled when they've had to go one-dimensional and pass. And Kenyon Drake doesn't scare me, especially with this defensive front. Excuse me. So, look, Patrick Peterson isn't Patrick Peterson anymore. The one concern I have on offense is Matt Pryor. Matt Pryor is not a right tackle. He's not. No. He's a guard playing right tackle, and he's not even a good guard playing right tackle. So that's a concern. If I'm Doug Peterson, I'm running a lot of 12 personnel. I'm running a lot of bootlegs to the left. Like I'm flushing him out to the left as much as possible because Matt Pryor's a problem. especially with the way that they move Hassan Reddick around. We saw that last week.
No, I keep running Jalen. I let Jalen run as much as he wants. That's fine with me. You beat the number one defense in football that hasn't given up a 100-yard rusher in 56 games, and then let alone 2 to Miles and Jalen Hurts. Let it keep going.
But
let him run.
And by the way, Giovanni, I'm sure you saw this on tape, but they play a lot of man. The Cardinals play a lot of man coverage. That says, "Hey, Jalen, run!" That's kind of what that message sends out. So, look, I have the Cardinals winning, I think 30-26, but I would not be shocked. I'm also not picking against the Eagles, so they beat a second team that's over 500. I can't. It's just not. But man, could you imagine if this team won 4 straight games and made the playoffs?
Nope. You're not even manifesting that. You're not even putting it into the internet. No.
But here's what I'm trying to say to you guys. That's why this Wentz report doesn't make sense right now. It should have leaked week 17.
If they were in position to.
Right.
Yeah. Again, it's all weird. The timing of it. I'll tell you what, if Jalen Hurts plays well today and drops over 30 points, I'm coming back next week with his haircut on my head. I'm getting that haircut.
Better than a Toronto Raptors hat, I would assume.
Hey, nestle down.
Hey, look, I rooted for them when they won. But what I'll say is this to you guys: I think this is a team that I don't want it to be a piling on Carson Wentz fest because it's not. I do think there's a lot of positives to what Carson Wentz can do. I think that he's redeemable. Here's what I will say. If the Colts are interested in trading for him, I don't really want to trade him to the Colts.
No. I don't know why. I don't know why everybody's obsessed with it, man. I don't get it.
But here's the thing. Like, if I'm Howie Roseman, why am I going to set this dude up to succeed? Like, you saw what the Eagles did with Donovan McNabb. You don't want to look. Howie's very good at winning trades publicly. That's one of his greatest qualities. He knows how to win a trade publicly. Now, does it always play out? Well, no. But, like, you remember when he traded Dennis Kelly for...
Literally what just popped in my head.
I knew you were going to bring that up,
I was at Jaguars practices when I was covering the Eagles, and I turned to a former...
he traded for Darius Slay. That's a win.
Yeah, that is a win. As much as people want to continue to say that he was not good enough. I mean, the dude's battled back from 3 straight injuries. I mean, look, him not playing today is going to really expose how good of a free agent sign or trade acquisition he was. But what I'll say is this: like, the Eagles are in a tough spot. I mean, the universe has really dealt them a hand, which they played a very big part in. And I'll tell you, I don't think they imagined that Carson Wentz would implode. I really don't.
No way.
There was
No
nothing.
way.
Yeah, there was nothing that. And a lot of people were like, I wrote this after the pick. I said, look, this is why the Eagles are hurting Carson Wentz as opposed to helping him. And that was obvious, right? But when you look at the way this has gone, to blame that pick on Carson Wentz's play is nuts. That's nuts. I'm sorry. That's nuts. If you're going to continue, look, Denzel Mims was not making the difference here. Jeremy Chin would have been on the other side of the ball, and yeah, the defense would have played a bit better. But the defense has carried this team for the last 8 weeks.
You also, I don't like when fans have this short-minded idea that you shouldn't be looking for immediate impact in round 2.
Right.
Like if you get it, great, but you don't just all this. Again, it's the value. If Jalen Hurts is a starting quarterback to that scouting department and that GM, you do it. It's just the value of the draft.
Oh, before I get off here, that reminds me. Thank you. Jalen Reagor. Let's talk about him because the lack of perspective on Jalen Reagor is alarming to me. This offense has not been tailored to him at all. When you draft a kid in the first round, if he's supposed to be your guy, you tailor the offense around him to make him a good complement to the quarterback. I just don't know what's happening here. And look, has he been perfect? No. There've been some sloppy routes, there've been some drops, there've been some miscues, but I just don't see where the logic of selecting him and the usage of him have met like this, son. You know what I mean? Like it's not like this.
And it's that disconnect we always talk about. Like there's a clear disconnect from the front office to coaching.
His dad literally worked with Doug Peterson when he was a coach and intern here, and he literally told me himself he doesn't think that they're using Jalen right at all. So I mean, it's pretty evident that they're not.
Listen, Aaron Moorhead's known him since he was a kid. I just don't. It's so weird, right? Like, look, you guys know Justin Jefferson was my favorite offensive player in this class. I beamed about him when everybody was calling him the next Jordan Matthews. And, like, they're using him as a lot of people projected Jefferson to be used when they just thought he would be this, like, meaningless slot player. It's like, what are they doing here? I think that's a bigger indictment, honestly, of Doug Peterson than Carson Wentz, really, because you stand for this guy. You wanted this guy. Believe me, if Doug Peterson said, look, we want Justin Jefferson, they would have selected Justin Jefferson. Believe me, if Doug was like, he's the missing piece, well, they would have drafted him. GMs are not in the business of setting up their head coaches to fail. I want that to be completely understood. Maybe they don't have the best relationship. This is general. Maybe GMs and head coaches butt heads. Maybe they do whatever. GMs are not in the business of setting their head coaches up to fail because you only get so many head coaches as a GM. Typically, it's 2. For Howie, it's been 3, but he also came midway through Andy's tenure, or towards the end of Andy's tenure. So that needs to be understood, right? Setting your head coach up or your starting quarterback up to fail is bad for you. So to purposefully, that's the thing. Like, I think the disconnect can sometimes come in. I think the disconnect comes with in-game stuff. It's not like if you look at the way they've scripted around Jalen Reagor early in games, he's involved. He's doing good stuff. And I think just when you get in the heat of the moment, that's where the disconnect comes. It's almost like their strategy and their play calling bravado just kind of just like floats out in the open once those scripted plays are gone.
Yeah, I've been saying the last couple of weeks. I don't know if I could trust Doug Peterson to then scheming for receivers. I mean, this team looks like, from all reports and indications, they want to move to an 11 personnel type offense. I don't know if that's Doug. I'm not sure it is.
Just get Doug out of here.
I've seen Doug have success with 11 personnel, and he said that they've actually run the ball more effectively out of 11 personnel, mainly because that's just Dallas Goedert blocking. I think this is a situation where everybody's going to have to reinvent themselves next year if they're here. Howie's going to have to reinvent himself because he can't rely on free agency and trades to make up for bad picks. He's got to rebuild this roster, and they have to be cheap. Because then in 2022, they got a lot of cap room, and then they can supplement the roster. Doug Peterson's going to have to adjust the way he calls plays. If Jalen Hurts is the starter, they're going to really have to change things up. They've seen that his play calling hasn't worked for Carson Wentz. So if Carson Wentz is the starter, they're going to have to change things up again. Carson Wentz is going to have to change the way he plays. Jalen Hurts is probably going to have to improve as a passer. Just that's what it is. Miles Sanders is going to have to catch the ball better, and he's going to have to block better. Everybody's going to have to adjust next year for this team to be better. And frankly, I think it's time that this happened. The rebuild should have started last summer, frankly. Their playoff window, in my opinion, they could make the playoffs this year, and they probably should make the playoffs this year. But that doesn't really matter. I mean, it does if they win games. But if they're not winning games, to me, your playoff window closes when you can't win games in the playoffs. And I just kind of think, sure, you can get to the playoffs as many times as you want, but if you're not winning, you just played an extra game, everybody gets a check, and then you're on your way. And this team wants to compete for the NFC title every year. So with that said, they've just got to repeat. I mean, they've got to tear this thing at least halfway down.
Oh, completely agree. So before we wrap it up, Mike, what did you think about the John Dorsey news and the timing of that dropping?
So I wrote on Friday that I think the solution with Howie Roseman, because I don't foresee him being fired, just based on what I've heard, what I've seen, what's been reported. I feel pretty good about saying I don't think that he will be fired. You need to have a former GM in an assistant GM role who runs the personnel department day to day. Howie can still have final say, but you want a guy who can stick up and show his clout, and he's got the clout of being a GM. I think John Dorsey's a terrific evaluator. He's awful at everything else that a GM has to do. And that's what I think a lot of people miss, is being a GM is not just picking players. It's not just managing the salary cap. You're managing a coaching staff. You're managing a personnel staff. You're managing scouts. You're doing a ton of other things. I think he was very good at the evaluation standpoint. Everything else fell by the wayside. How he's very good at all the business stuff, managing coaching staff, managing a front office, not great on the evaluation side. So if you can bring somebody in there to supplement him, a John Dorsey, a Doug Whaley, a Dave Caldwell, a Rick Smith, if he doesn't get a job, which would be absolutely criminal if Rick Smith did not get another GM job. That's the route that I would go.
We're going to leave Doug Whaley off that list.
See, people hate on Doug, but I've gotten to know him a lot after he became a GM, and I think he'd be very good from evaluation standpoint. I know people talk. Look, Dave Caldwell's the same way. Both missed on quarterback, and that's bad.
It
right?
is hard. I mean, people are vouching for Louis Riddick right now, and he's had some awful listings for quarterbacks too. It happened. These guys miss.
It's a tough racket, right? But if you already have the quarterback, then why are you worried about the quarterback? Right? You know what I mean? Like, here. Let me ask you this: who's had a better career to this point? I mean, better starting career.
Don't say Mark Sanchez on this show.
Blake Bortles or Sam Darnold?
Better careers? You have to say Bortles.
If you have to think about it, that's a problem, right?
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, okay, go ahead.
Who's had a better 2 years as general manager? Howie Roseman or Joe Douglas? Now you're going to say Joe Douglas inherited stuff and came in midway, whatever. He's been in the job for a year and a half, and the roster's gotten worse.
Ooh, man, yeah, I don't know about that because I think
Andrew Berry inherited a roster.
Yeah, but he inherited Adam Gase.
Right, but Adam Gase was the guy who fought for him.
Yeah, I don't know. I get the point.
Adam Gase.
I get that because I'm a Howie defender. You know that. I mean,
I know, I'm just saying, like, I feel like everybody just like sees red when they see Howie or they see whatever. Like, being a GM, I would argue that 20 of the GMs in the league are not good.
Yes.
So
it's a bad group of people. It is a bad group. Like, there are so many bad GMs, and I wish that I say this all the time. I wish the Eagles fan base scrutinized all 31 other GMs, and they would come back and be like, I love Howie Roseman.
Well, I dealt with that in Jacksonville because I was constantly defending Dave Caldwell because I do agree. Look, his first draft, you guys have been watching the draft for a while. If you told me that you were going to walk away with Luke Jokel, Jonathan Cyprien, Dwayne Gratz, and Josh Evans as your first 4 picks based on film and based on character study and everything, I would have told you, hey, you had a hell of a draft. I wasn't a Luke Jokel fan. He was my third of the offensive tackles. I was a massive Eric Fisher guy. Lane's obviously been significantly better. But, like, that's the thing. Like, being a GM is so much more than drafting. It's so much more than making trades. There's so much to it. But, like, also, like, the hindsight police, it's just, you know, I saw somebody the other day, what's his name from Houston, the defensive tackle. Plays for the Bills now.
No. Is that from Texans?
No. He plays.
From Houston. You're talking to. Ed
Oliver. Ed Oliver.
Yes,
Ed
Oliver, right? Remember how everybody's like, Ed Oliver's a can't miss pick. Oh my God,
Yeah.
he's incredible. He's been mediocre. I remember when everybody was like, Star Lotulelei is going to be the greatest thing ever. And I was just like, he can't rush the passers, so you're going to spend a top 6 pick on a guy who can't rush the – okay, all right, whatever. Good for you. You look at a guy like Aaron Curry. Aaron Curry was considered a can't-miss linebacker prospect, the best linebacker prospect, like, to come out in forever. He lasted in the league for, like, 6 years and did nothing. Like, I just – well, now he's a linebackers coach, I think. But my point to you is nobody's a sure thing. This is a very difficult job. I get really annoyed when people act like scouting is – guesswork when it gets to the day 3 picks, because there are some people that are very good at day 3 picks. The reason why John Schneider is considered a really good GM is not because of his day 1s and day 2s, it's because of his day 3s. And I thought Howie had a pretty good day 3 this year. I mean, it hasn't panned out all that great, but what are you going to do?
I think the biggest frustration regarding Howie Roseman is there just are some simple things that he has missed as far as like a J-Jaw over a DK.
Sure.
And that's just where it's, even as a big defender of him, you do have misses. You have misses, but
astronomical misses. There's no question about it.
Going back to your point, if there's 20 hired, like employed GMs, about let's just say 18 that are bad or below average, the people who are saying fire Howie understand that it's slim pickings. Like, just as difficult as it is to get a franchise quarterback, it's that difficult to find a good general manager that's going to last you 10 years. This isn't a 2-year change. This is like, again, it's monumental for like what's for the franchise. So you don't these changes. Yes, Howie put us in cap hell, but again, he's known as a cap guru. So give him a chance to get out of this mess that he created, because 2 years ago, this guy was praised by 90% of this fan base.
Well, and he's still praised by 90% of the league, too. Howie's a pretty well-respected guy in the league. Look, if let's say he's the 8th best general manager in the league. He's the 8th best general manager out of 32 teams. You know what I mean? It's just like if Carson Wentz is a top 12 quarterback, he's top 12 out of 32 starting quarterbacks. I mean, it's not that right now, but maybe he can be that eventually. I just think it's tough. Look, I saw somebody who normally criticizes almost everything say the other day that, like, Sean McDermott has put this system around Josh Allen and really made, like, the situation comfortable for him as a franchise quarterback. Well, let me tell you something. Sean McDermott was blasted repeatedly his first 2 years as the head coach. He was robotic. He was uninspiring. People thought they lucked into their first playoff berth in 20 years. They scored 3 points in that playoff game against the Jaguars. Like, sometimes you just got to let it play out. And I know Howie's had a lot of time to play out, but, like, he's known for pulling back up organizations. Like, that's what his strength is. He's just not known for sustaining. And so I think you give him a year to figure this thing out, and you place an assistant GM under him, and Lurie can get to know that assistant GM. And if they move on from Howie, they promote the assistant GM. I mean, that's just what it is. But, hey, I'm going to let you guys go.
We're going to end the show right now, too. So thank you all for tuning in. Thank you, Mike, for coming on. We appreciate it. Go Birds, everybody.
Go Birds.